It's 10 o'clock. This is Sky News at 10, our top story. Trouble in the boardroom. Prince Harry accused of bullying and losing sponsors for the charity he founded by deciding to leave the country.
There was quite a significant correlation between the time the organization started to see a departure of sort of major organizations and Prince Harry's departure from the UK itself.
Also tonight, Sir Keir Starmer and Donald Trump discuss productive negotiations towards reaching a UK-US economic deal. Rescuers in Myanmar continue to hunt for survivors of the deadly earthquake as aftershocks strike the region. A review of human rights laws promised as ministers prepare to host an international summit on people smuggling.
Driver's license. Harold Johnson, Flintwood, Ohio. Expired 1952.
And actor Richard Chamberlain, star of Dr. Kildare and the original Shogun, dies at the age of 90. And we'll take a first look at tomorrow's front pages in our press preview from 10:30. Good evening. When Prince Harry decided he would no longer be a working royal, his work with the Sentebale charity was one of the aspects of his former life he didn't lose. He founded it in memory of his mother to help young people in Africa affected by AIDS. This week, Harry quit as patron, with tensions between Sentebale's chairwoman, Dr. Sophia Shandauka, and trustees laid bare. Tonight, the charity finds itself caught up in a bitter blame game with Dr. Shandauka in a Sky News interview accusing the prince of bullying and harassment. A source close to the ex-trustees has dismissed the claims as completely baseless. Our royal correspondent Laura Bundock reports.
What Prince Harry wanted to do was to eject me from the organization, and this went on for months. It went on for months through bullying, harassment.
It is the catastrophic row engulfing Prince Harry's cherished charity, with escalating anger and allegations.
It was me who was the problem because I put a whistleblower complaint about the bullying, the harassment, and the misogyny, and Prince Harry interfered in the investigation of that. And the senior independent director who should have taken care of it was the very same person who then delivered the news to me that I was going to be removed by the board.
Last week, Prince Harry stepped down from Sentebale. The charity's chair says the news was unexpected and a shock.
This unleashing of the Sussex machine on me and the 540 employees at Sentebale who received this and have had to defend it.
By the way, when you say the Sussex machine, what are you talking about?
The PR machine that supports Prince Harry's efforts. The only way we discovered of his decision was through the Sussex machine activating newspapers.
A source close to the former trustees of the charity said this was categorically untrue and that claims of harassment and bullying were completely baseless. The chair also alleges the board was scared to speak up when Harry was in the room.
An example might be Prince Harry decides on a specific occasion that he wants to appoint an individual to the board with immediate effect without having talked to me. It's not on the agenda, and somehow everybody's just supposed to tolerate that.
The source told us this too was completely baseless. Dr. Chandauka also describes this charity polo match moment with Meghan.
She wasn't asking me to move out of the way. It was just a messy situation and we all didn't know where to go.
She claims negative media attention around Meghan's behaviour prompted the prince to ask her to issue a statement in support of the Duchess, but she refused.
I said I wouldn't, not because I didn't care about the Duchess, but because I knew what would happen if I did so, number one, and number two, because we cannot be an extension of the Sussex.
What would have
PR
happened
machine.
if you...
This is described as highly misleading by the source close to the ex-charity trustees. For Prince Harry, Sentebale was deeply personal, set up to honour his mother's memory. His patronage, one of the few roles he retained after leaving royal life. The charity's chair claims this drove away donors.
we'd lost some families and we'd lost individuals who were donating to the organization. And there was quite a significant correlation between the time the organization started to see a departure of sort of major organizations and Prince Harry's departure from the UK itself.
The source close to the charity's former trustees said this was categorically false. What is clear, relations between Dr. Chandauka and the Duke appear irreparable, leaving Centre Barley caught in a bitter boardroom blame game.
So there's a very deep sense of feeling guilty at having to take the decision that they've had to take, but also a keen understanding of the fact that they had no choice but to take the decision that they took, ultimately for the betterment of the charity, and also to sort of take a step back and see what next. Because I can tell you, I'm very sure that they are not going to leave the kids in the lurch.
Prince Harry no longer has royal roles, but Centre Barley was different, one of the few positions he didn't lose. It really meant a lot to him, which is why all this acrimony played out so publicly will hurt a lot. As for Dr. Chandauka's interview, a source close to trustees and patrons says they fully expected this publicity stunt and reached their collective decision with this in mind. They remain firm in their resignation for the good of the charity and look forward to the adjudication of the truth. With those at the top in turmoil, the charity's reputation's at risk, and all those involved now facing difficult questions of conduct and behaviour. Laura Bundock, Sky News.
And you can watch our full interview with Sophie Chandauka by scanning the QR code on your screen right now. Within the past hour, we've heard that Sir Keir Starmer and Donald Trump have discussed the productive negotiations towards reaching an economic deal between the UK and the US. Let's bring in our US correspondent, James Matthews, who is in Washington for us. James, what else do we know about this call between the Prime Minister and US President?
Yeah, hi, Barbara. It's a conversation ahead of what Donald Trump is calling Liberation Day, of course, when tariffs will bite, he says, 25%. On vehicles and vehicle parts will come in, so too reciprocal tariffs that would target countries Donald Trump thinks are ripping him off. In all of this, of course, the United Kingdom is trying to negotiate its own arrangements on tariffs and on wider trade. That's the context in which the President and Prime Minister have spoken. The Downing Street statement issued in the past half hour reads as follows. They say that the two men discussed the productive negotiations between their respective teams on a UK-US economic prosperity deal, agreeing that these will continue at pace this week. The statement goes on. Discussing Ukraine, the Prime Minister updated the President on the productive discussions at the meeting of the Coalition of the Willing in Paris this week. And that statement from Downing Street finishes thus. It says, the leaders agreed on the need to keep up the collective pressure on Vladimir Putin. They agreed to stay in touch in the coming days. So productive, Barbara, is the word doing the heavy lifting this weekend. That's the Downing Street verdict on talks on both fronts, on tariffs and on Russia/Ukraine. So optimistic in tone, yet it has to be remembered we're still mid-negotiation with regard to both.
Well, focusing on Ukraine, in another conversation, Donald Trump had quite strong words, or stronger than usual, about Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, industrial language from the US president. Very angry and pissed off, he said he was, with Putin, Vladimir Putin. What's upsetting him is an intervention by the Russian leader at the end of last week. Putin questioned Zelensky's legitimacy, the Ukrainian president. He said a peace agreement brokered by Zelensky could be challenged by future governments. Trump didn't like that, doesn't see that as productive in terms of progress towards peace. He has threatened Russia with further sanctions. Today on the Sunday morning show, Meet the Press on NBC, he said that if he thought Russia was holding up a peace agreement, he would consider putting secondary tariffs, or secondary sanctions actually, on Russian oil, or penalties on other countries buying oil from Russia if he and Putin couldn't come to terms on stopping the bloodshed, he said, in Ukraine. And the way he put it was, if I think it was Russia's fault in terms of blocking progress. So a rebuke, a rare rebuke from Donald Trump for Vladimir Putin, on the face of it, the like of which we have not heard from the president for a while. Remember that Donald Trump himself has undermined the credibility of Zelensky in the past. So clearly Trump is in the middle of a two-way negotiation. This has the sound, at least, of an even-handedness that for most outside Moscow has been lacking on the part of the US president up until now.
James Matthews with the latest there from Washington, D.C. James, thank you. And if you can scan the QR code on your screen right now, you can listen to today's Trump 100 podcast, where James and Sky's Martha Kellner discuss the executive orders being challenged in court and whether President Trump is running the country like he's still on The Apprentice. The number of people killed in Myanmar following Friday's powerful earthquake has risen to 1,700, but it's predicted that the true figure could be much higher. The rescue efforts in Myanmar are being complicated by the civil war disrupting much of the country. There are reports of continuing military airstrikes in some areas, even after the earthquake. Well, the earthquake struck close to Myanmar's second largest city of Mandalay, with the effects being felt as far away as Bangkok in Thailand. So severe was the impact that tremors were also felt in Bangladesh, Laos and Vietnam. As of last night, 20 aftershocks had been recorded across Myanmar, and there is an expectation that these will carry on into next week, with a slim chance of a major shock as high as the magnitude 7+ that was recorded on Friday. Our Asia correspondent Cordelia Lynch reports.
Weeping, shaking, bewildered, a young man in Mandalay pulls through. From the tiniest windows of opportunity, still survivors emerge from Myanmar. Here, a mother is pulled out, barely able to raise her hands. But despair is everywhere. Desperate hands, brick by brick, people trying to preserve life. And the raw screams when they realise they can't. Even the professionals are struggling. Here, a Chinese rescue team has to run as the aftershocks hit. And getting aid to a country in the throes of civil war is deeply challenging.
People in Naypyidaw and Mandalay are reportedly sleeping outside of their homes because they're really afraid to go back in their homes. The road routes are severely damaged, so transportation of humanitarian aid workers and also transportation of medical supplies is really challenging at this moment.
Roads are blocked, power down, the internet limited, and some airports closed. It is another layer of trauma for a nation that for 4 years has been immersed in it. The opposition shadow government has committed now to a ceasefire for 2 weeks. But the ruling military junta, who've asked the international community for help, have also resumed attacks on rebel-held areas. A fractured state is looking incredibly fragile. In Bangkok, the heat is punishing, the search for life slow. Families stare blankly at ruins that have provided no relief. While rescuers scan the area, it is only the bodies of the dead being carried out so far, and they are taking a long time to recover. There are plenty of boots on the ground, but little movement inside this complex, crumpled mass. Ladawan's son, Kitisak, is trapped inside with his wife, Ratana. Part of her crumbled, she told me, when the building did. Rescuers cannot, she says, work as fast as her heart needs.
My heart felt so bad from the very first day I heard the news. My son was on the floor, right near the top. He's an electrician. Suddenly, it just exploded like a bomb. There was no alert. If there had been, then many more people would have escaped.
Everyone she's here with is waiting to hear from a family member.
It feels different here today. There's resignation in the air. People seem flat, coming to terms with the fact their loved ones may not make it out. And the police have acknowledged that to us too. With so little oxygen, the chances of survival are very slim.
They will stay till their loved ones are found. That could take weeks. Hands clasped, lives in limbo. Cordelia Lynch, Sky News, Bangkok, Thailand.
Bosses hiring gig economy workers in construction, food delivery and beauty salons will soon be required to check their immigration status or risk being hit with fines and jail time. It comes ahead of the government hosting the first international summit on tackling people smuggling gangs tomorrow. Our political correspondent, Serena Barker-Singh, reports.
Illegal immigrants filmed as they're being raided, released by the government in hopes that images like these will convince voters they're taking immigration seriously. Next week, they're going further, hosting a summit on international immigration crime and today announcing a crackdown on illegal workers.
We're introducing an amendment to the Border Security and Asylum Bill, which is to actually strengthen the requirements on employers in the gig economy to start checking people's eligibility for work, because, frankly, it is too easy at the moment for employers to take people on illegally through those contract mechanisms without those checks in place.
The summit, chaired by the Home Secretary, will host ministers and enforcement staff from 40 countries to discuss international cooperation, supply routes, online advertising and criminal finances.
Even the European Union is developing its tools to be able to enforce its external borders. We have smugglers' networks that are human traffickers, that are criminals, that are dealing in human misery and pushing people on these boats. This is a challenge that the UK is facing, France is facing, all of Europe is facing, and we need to continue to cooperate. We need to continue to work together on this.
The Conservatives say a lot of these crackdowns they've tried before.
The government's announcement today is largely copied and pasted from measures introduced by the last government back in 2016, when legislation then clamped down on illegal working, introducing unlimited fines, the ability to confiscate wages, and terms of imprisonment of up to 6 months. Look, of course, I'm in favour of clamping down on illegal working, but there is very little here that is actually new.
Immigration is a major issue for voters in Runcorn, where the resignation of the Labour MP Mike Amesbury, convicted of assault, means the first by-election for Keir Starmer's government.
There's too many coming in at the moment and they're not doing enough to protect the borders. They're just letting them in and then putting them up in hotels and things, while the people that actually live in the country, the likes of the pensioners and people that are unemployed, are getting nothing.
No, they don't do anything about the migrants and everything like that. They just let anyone in. Doesn't matter to him, but they promise everything and then you just don't get anything off him.
America's getting the right idea. He's stopping it.
What sort of country would we be, though, if we didn't help people who are in need or escaping war and those sorts of atrocities?
A rich country.
With 5,000 people crossing the Channel this week, next week the government will ramp up the rhetoric on this issue. Some backbenchers think to help win back support lost to Nigel Farage's Reform Party. The test now, though, whether voters actually believe them. Serena Barker-Singh, Sky News.
And on your screen now are all of the candidates declared in the Runcorn and Hillsby by-election so far. Police say a man arrested on suspicion of murder over a house fire in Northamptonshire has been released without charge. A 4-year-old girl, a 30-year-old woman, and a 23-year-old man all died after the fire broke out at a historic former station house in the village of Rushden on Friday night. Detectives say they do not believe that the fire was caused by a criminal act.
Driver's license. Harold Johnson, Flintwood, Ohio. Expired 1952.
The award-winning actor Richard Chamberlain, best known for his role in the 1960s medical drama Dr. Kildare and leading role in Shogun, has died at the age of 90. He was dubbed the king of the miniseries after appearing in a number of TV dramas in the 1980s. The actor's publicist said the star died from complications from a stroke in Hawaii yesterday. The morning after pill will soon be made free at all pharmacies. Ministers say it will end the so-called postcode lottery faced by some women trying to access emergency contraception. The initiative will be announced by the government tomorrow as part of a package of investment in pharmacies. And let's get the latest sport now from Rahul at Sky Sports News.
Staying connected is vital for business. Sky Business sponsors this report.
I woke up around a little while ago now. It's around 5 o'clock, so I'm about to have some suhoor, which is the last meal that we have before fasting for the whole day. I've got some electrolytes to keep me hydrated throughout the day, and then some vitamins. So I need to make sure that I eat right because we got a match later on in the day against Blackpool. It's currently like 10:50. I'm about to leave my house, make my way to my friends to get a lift in.
Baba, assalamualaikum. How are you? Very good, thank you. Thanks so much for having us here at Nottingham Forest today. Well, we're going to be following you in terms of how you perform at such a high level while you fast. So we can't wait to find out a bit more. But as we kind of walk, what's the first thing on your agenda today?
We've just got a team meeting, pre-match meeting before the game, just to see like the lineup and stuff like that.
Today we'll be really clear. We don't want anything to come through our shape. Scotty, you do front zone. Bubba, you do your normal one. Gio, you be in line with the post in the front zone.
Your captain as well, leading the team today. How are you feeling just generally about, just being captain, leading the team today against Blackpool?
Yeah, I just feel like it's an important responsibility to have, and it's good to see that the coaches trust you to put your captain. So yeah, just go out and prove that I can.
And the boss said to enjoy your football as well.
Yeah,
That's the main message.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, I'll let you go. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much.
Take care. See you in a bit.
You too. What did you have for suhoor?
Porridge.
Yeah.
Bananas. And then just electrolytes.
Yeah. I'm good.
Ramadan is a particular time where things change in their schedule, so we've got to consider what those needs look like. We'll sit down with the players individually and just go through that. That'll obviously include what their schedule looks like from a prayer perspective, also the nutrition needs.
You have to be really dedicated and you have to be really strategic and plan ahead. Some players will kind of spend 2 months before planning and kind of working out their diet best for them. A big thing for me is really getting those quick release carbohydrates in when they can break their fast to allow that energy and the glycogen to restore as quickly as possible. We have players from all over the world, and I think it's really important to kind of share that culture with each other.
We saw you play kind of left centre back. Are you right? Like, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm fine. I just feel like I'm just grateful to be able to do those things, and like when it starts to get tough, I just need to like look back and look at how far I've come. Every time Ramadan comes around, like I just get like a lot more positive, a lot more happy, because it's like I'm always excited to see like Ramadan and like just to do the things that happen in Ramadan, get closer to the Lord, and then stuff like that. Some people don't like get to fast, some people don't get to play at Forest, so it's like I can do both of them, so I'm just grateful and happy to do both of them.
When we get these young players in, we've got responsibility, and we tell their families and we speak to them as young players and we say, we're going to look after your son when he comes into this environment. So we have a responsibility to do that. When they step out on the football pitch, we need to have an environment where they feel that they can be themselves. We should all respect each other's values and all respect each other's faiths and beliefs. It's very important to us as not just an academy, but as a football club, and it comes right from the top all the way down.
We come from different parts of the world, from different cultures, from different religions, and we still have to support each other.
And outside of the football side, though, just for them to feel accepted and included, I suppose, is super important as well.
It's not important, it's basic.
Baba, we're now here at the City Ground because we're going to be going to a bit of an iftar event for the community. Yeah. Not too long now till we break our fast. How are you feeling? It's been a bit of a day, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been a long day, just ready to eat, to be honest. Yeah.
It's quite cool you're going to this event with people in the community, Muslims and non-Muslims, who are going to really take part in Ramadan. That's really nice, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's good for everyone to come together.
Sky Business sponsors this report.
The controversial fighter Conor McGregor is facing an uphill climb in his bid to become Ireland's next president. As Sky News can reveal that not a single politician surveyed would back his nomination. Despite claiming an endorsement from Donald Trump, McGregor needs support from 20 Irish parliamentarians to stand, and loss of a civil rape case also threatens his ambitions. A warning that this report from our Ireland correspondent Stephen Murphy contains some flash photography.
Conor McGregor wants to walk out of the White House.
Happy Paddy's Day, America!
And into another White House, the residence of the Irish president. Embraced by Donald Trump, the former UFC champion says he will run in Ireland's presidential election later this year. But Sky News can reveal just how difficult it will be for him to get on the ballot. To enter the electoral octagon, Conor McGregor needs the backing of 20 members of the Irish Parliament. There are 234 in total across two houses, so we contacted them all. 134 got back to us, and of those, 0 said they would support a McGregor run. Not a hope in hell, said one cabinet minister. Others described McGregor as a tacky, moronic vulgarian and a populist buffoon. Couldn't think of anyone worse, said one, while another added, on behalf of the women of Ireland, he can f*** off. We asked Conor McGregor's spokesperson for a response. None has yet been received. One door closes, it would seem, but there is another. If he wins the backing of 4 of Ireland's 31 local councils, McGregor could yet be a candidate.
The difficulty for that, though, is that the county councils are mostly dominated by political parties, none of which share McGregor's views, and even those independents who are in the councils don't share his views either.
As he outlined at the White House, McGregor wants to stand on an anti-immigration platform.
The illegal immigration racket is running ravage on the country. There are rural towns in Ireland that have been overrun in one swoop, that have become a minority in one swoop.
We went to one rural town, Newtown Kennedy in County Wicklow, that last year saw violent protests over asylum seekers moving in. It's probably in places like this that Conor McGregor envisages a support base.
If Conor McGregor got his name on the ballot paper, would you consider voting for him?
Not in a fit.
He's a thug. No way.
He would definitely have support, but in a minority, I really think he should stick to his sports.
What he's saying, I suppose, isn't too untrue. There are areas being overrun with people, but they're like, what are people supposed to do? They're fleeing a war. They need places to have refuge, and I think we should be doing that. But it just should be managed better than it's been managed. It hasn't been managed very well by the government. But Conor McGregor, is he going to sort it for us? I really don't think he's the character for that.
McGregor is in the middle of appealing a civil case where a Dublin jury found he had raped a woman and ordered him to pay her damages. Many wonder if Conor McGregor really wants to take on a presidential run at all. But if he does, he faces an uphill battle. Stephen Murphy, Sky News in Dublin.
Well, that was Sky News at 10. Coming up, we'll take a first look at tomorrow's papers in the press preview. Tonight, we're joined by the political journalists Theo Usherwood and Carolyn Quinn. Welcome both. Among the stories we'll be discussing, this on the front of the Metro. Their headline, Harry's charity cover-up, referencing allegations made in a Sky News interview. We'll be right back.
Weeknights on Sky News.
This is your chance. Tell people. Welcome to the Politics Hub.
Our police force has apologised. If you want to find out about Grimsby, you come to the docks.
I'm live in Jerusalem.
Are you not concerned that that could lead to all-out war?
Hello there, good evening. There are fears of an upsurge in violence. What's at stake here?
You are watching the press preview, a first look at the front pages as they arrive.
There's always more to the news than a headline. We want to discover, to delve a little deeper, to find out what's really going on. Explanation, analysis, the people at the heart of every story. I'm Neil Patterson, and this is the Sky News Daily Podcast. Alex Crawford joining us now from Ukraine.
Their personal possessions are all scattered around the place.
Our economics and data editor, Ed Conway, try and make sense of the big numbers for us.
Things can change incredibly quickly, and that's what they have done.
So, by the end, we'll hopefully all understand what's going on in the world just that little better. Available wherever you get your podcasts.
We're trying to see as much as we can.
We start with breaking news. Historic day here today.
The golden age of America begins right now.
A long-awaited ceasefire is now underway.
First question, Sky News.
This is a huge moment.
It's incredible.
Now to California.
Do you owe citizens an apology? Have you nothing to say?
Jane Secker, Sky News. Would you like to respond to us now?
Beth Rigby, Sky News.
In principle, would you agree to do that?
Criticism of you is banned. How is this a fair election?
The cameras are poised, waiting to see what the president might do next.
Thank you. Thank you.
We are under Israeli military restrictions in terms of some of the things that we can film, but it's important to be in there. What a slow drive for the president as he approaches his golf club. 4 more years! Free wherever you get your news. I'm Mark Stone and I'm Sky's correspondent based here in Washington, D.C.
We've got your Sunday mornings covered. From the front page and the sounds of the streets to the voices of the people who make the major calls and big picture politics beyond Westminster. We'll put you at the heart of our story.
I'm ready. Are you?
Join me, Trevor Phillips, Sunday mornings on Sky News.
We're rolling.
Welcome to the world.
Our new podcast, starting now. It's very exciting. Every week we'll be reporting from the world's trouble spots.
We get to hold those in positions of power accountable, and we get to ask the questions that the audience, the listeners, want to know about.
And that's why it is so important that people tune in, come along for the road, come along for the journey. It'll be fun.
This is Sky News. In just a moment, the press preview. A first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. But first, our top stories. The chair of the Centre Ballot charity founded by Prince Harry has accused him of bullying and causing the organisation to lose sponsors when he decided to leave the UK. A source for ex-trustees has dismissed the claims. Sir Keir Starmer and Donald Trump discussed productive negotiations towards a UK-US economic deal in a phone call this evening. And the number of people killed in Myanmar following Friday's powerful earthquake has now risen to 1,700, but it's predicted that the true figure could be much higher. Hello there, you're watching the press preview, a first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. In the next half hour, we'll see what's making the headlines with the political journalists Theo Usherwood and Carolyn Quinn. Well, let's take a look and see what is on some of those front pages. Well, the Metro leads with Sky News' interview with the chair of the charity from which Prince Harry resigned earlier this week. She alleges he interfered in investigations into bullying, harassment and misogyny at the charity. He has yet to respond to any of the claims. The Mail also leads with the charity boss's bullying accusations against Prince Harry. The Telegraph reports on government plans to change the law to overrule Sentencing Council guidelines that prioritise bail for ethnic minorities. The Financial Times reports that Donald Trump is very angry at Vladimir Putin, believing him to be dragging his feet on securing a ceasefire with Ukraine. As a result, he has threatened Russia with secondary oil tariffs if a deal is not reached soon. The Guardian also leads with Trump's outrage at Vladimir Putin. The Eye focuses on Sir Keir Starmer's efforts to convince Mr. Trump not to impose tariffs on the UK. And the Express points out that some households could be £1,100 a year worse off as a result of bill increases that kick in with the new financial year on Tuesday. And the Star basks in weather forecasts, calling for temperatures of 25 Celsius for the next fortnight. We'll see if that actually happens. And we are joined tonight by Theo Usherwood and Caroline Quinn. Thank you both so much for coming in. Let's start with a story that's mentioned on a few papers and, of course, picking up an interview that Sir Trevor Phillips did with the chair of this charity that Prince Harry has just stepped away from. Theo, do you want to just start with telling us what the Metro's angle is?
So the Metro have gone in on the line that Prince Harry wanted to turn up with a Netflix camera crew to a polo event, and he nearly derailed said polo event at the last minute, saying that he wanted the Netflix camera crew to be there. The Mail, meanwhile, they've also focused on the spat, and then I think perhaps the more damaging claim actually for Prince Harry, that by leaving the UK and setting up life in the United States, that led to donors and supporters of Centre Bailey pulling their donations and support for the charity, because, of course, he distanced himself, withdrawn himself from frontline royal duties to set up life on the west coast of the United States. And I think if you're looking at, I don't know about a huge amount about celebrity polo matches, but I'd have thought that actually if you turned up with a Netflix camera crew, I'm struggling to see why that would necessarily be a bad thing, even if it was at the last minute. I think that would probably be something that most people would want. They're all about attention, aren't they? But the allegation, I think, that actually donors have started withdrawing from the charity and providing support from the charity because Prince Harry had severed links with his frontline duties with the royal family, I think is far more damaging, because, of course, Prince Harry wants to go on to have a career that relies on his name as the Duke of Sussex.
Caroline, before coming to you, I just want to say that Sky News did contact Netflix. Of course, we're just mentioning that Netflix documentary, and they declined to comment on, to get their take on whatever they think of this. Caroline.
But I watched this interview this morning, and Dr. Chandolkar is clearly, visibly angry and upset. There's a lot of backbiting clearly going on behind the scenes at this charity. Now, she has made allegations that he, the Prince, interfered with allegations of bullying that she had made. She feels that she was being forced to leave. She hit back, and now she feels that the organisation is or the royal organisation, if you like, is moving against her. So there are clearly a lot of arguments still to be had behind the scenes on this one. But at the heart of it is a charity that Harry set up. Do you remember to remember his mother? Yeah. You remember those pictures of him as a young man, and he seemed to come alive when he was working with this charity. So it feels like a really sad end to his association with it. But the allegation from Dr. Chandolkar is that donors were walking away because of his reputation and after his departure from the UK. So she feels that he has almost ruined the charity's reputation as well by the way that he's behaved. That the allegations are flying both ways on this one.
Okay, and it has to be said that a source close to the former trustees at the charity has described many of the claims as categorically false. Theo, let's look at the Daily Mail, because they're leading on this story as well. Their headline, Harry tried to make charity boss defend Meghan.
Yes, there's also an allegation that Harry unleashed the Sussex machine on Dr. Chandolkar because he wanted her to defend his wife, Meghan. She goes on to claim the Prince nearly, as I said, derailed the polo match. I mean, it's a fantastic scoop, by the way. Chapeau to Sir Trevor for getting the interview. And it just speaks to, I think, how when you look at this story, you can only think, how did it get to this point? Because the charity has obviously now fallen, it's fallen to bits. Prince Harry's had his reputation damaged as a result of this story blowing up, and of course, those people in Africa who the charity helped are no longer going to, we would think, get that help, and it seems to be beyond the charity. It seems to be irretrievably damaged.
Helping AIDS orphans in southern Africa, but Dr. Chandauka is now saying that toxicity over the Duke's brand has led to these donors stepping away. As you say, the board members deny the allegations about him, but even so, it raises question marks over a charity at a time when all charities are striving for help. Aid has been cut by governments around the world, and
they've got higher running costs. The one based
high running costs, and in the end, who suffers when there's reputational damage like this? Well,
we reached out to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex about the contents of the interview. They declined to offer a formal response, but how damaging do you think any of these allegations, or all of them, are for their brand?
I think they're hugely damaging. I mean, we've seen Meghan launch series on Netflix. She's got a series out where she does sort of home living. It's not necessarily my cup of tea, but I'm sure there are lots of your viewers who have watched it and have enjoyed it. And it's a wholesome image. It's about it's not about this. It doesn't come with, it needs to be clean. It needs to be free of allegations such as this. And it's this is what all that Prince Harry has got, is his reputation. Having departed from the royal family, he's not taking part in any frontline royal duties. He's given that all up to set up a new life, which is primarily based on his name. And these allegations damage his name, and therefore, for the prince, this is so unwelcome.
And just a paragraph at the end of the Metro story, the Charity Commission said it was aware of concerns about the governance of Centre Bali, and says we're assessing the issues to determine the appropriate regulatory steps. So there is more work to be done on this. The charity says it's not had their resignations yet. Recalibration of the board is part of Centre Bali's ambitious transformation agenda. And a defiant Dr. Chandauka has said the team has resolved that Centre Bali will live on with or without you. That's her message to the Prince.
OK, let's move on to another story now. Financial Times front page. Their headline: Trump threatened secondary tariffs on Russian oil if no Ukraine truce agreed. Basically, we're seeing for the first time Donald Trump use quite strong language. I mean, he hasn't used the strongest language against Vladimir Putin in the months that he's been in office, but quite strong language there. What's he been saying, Theo?
Yes, Donald Trump has said, and again, as he said, he's pissed off with Vladimir Putin for foot-dragging in talks over. We all know, this is widely accepted, that Putin is delaying. He wants his forces to make as greater inroads as possible into Ukraine before finally getting down to the nuts and bolts of a meaningful negotiation about peace. I think certainly from the UK government's point of view and from Europe's point of view, these comments from Donald Trump will be welcome. That Donald Trump himself, the US president, is now starting to lose patience with the Russian president. There have been times when we've looked at events, 5, 6 o'clock in the evening in the White House, sort of agog at Donald Trump and J.D. Vance take President Zelensky to task, or conversations he's had with other. We know the efforts that Keir Starmer went with his letter of invitation to visit the King. It is often felt, I think, from European government's point of view, that Donald Trump, there's been a complete recalibration, and he's supporting now. He's very much closely aligned with Russia's wants, and I think now this will be, gives some hope.
But how interesting this is, given the outburst in the Oval Office, Zelensky being chided by Trump and J.D. Vance, and yet President Trump now says he is very angry and very pissed off with President Putin for questioning the credibility of President Zelensky, which seems to have been the message coming from the United States. It's almost as if we can criticise him,
but no one else can.
But nobody else can. And obviously, as you say, the foot dragging's going on. Trump just wants to get on with this deal. He's eyeing up that Nobel Peace Prize,
yes,
isn't he?
and
He
it's
wants
taking
to
a
get
little
it
longer than a
moving.
day to sort out the war in Ukraine, apparently. And can I just say, we've had some pictures coming in, latest pictures of Air Force One there leaving Palm Beach Airport in Florida, heading for Joint Base Andrews. This is Donald Trump, who usually spends his weekend in Mar-a-Lago, and now is heading back to work at the White House. Let's look at the front page of the Eye. Still sort of Trump and Trump-Starmer relations. Of course, Wednesday is Liberation Day, when we're going to presumably see the implementation or the clarification of many of these tariffs. And I guess we're still harboring the hope, perhaps, that it's not going to affect us quite as much as it might other countries, Theo.
Yes, Sky News has been reporting, I saw it on your app just before we came on air, that there's now been a conversation, a positive conversation about some sort of prosperity, UK-US prosperity deal, whether it will come in before Wednesday's Liberation Day that Donald Trump refers to it as, when these 25% import, tariffs on car manufacturers introduced, which could hit the likes of Jaguar Land Rover and other manufacturers here in the UK harshly. There is some, I guess, hope that actually a deal can be done that actually spares British manufacturers and the British steel industry the brunt of these tariffs.
Carolyn, very briefly, are we right to expect preferential treatment?
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because Starmer and Europe have been working very closely together on the coalition of the willing over Ukraine. What will European partners feel if the UK gets some sort of exemption from these blanket tariffs that are being threatened? I mean, the US is the second biggest export market for cars produced in the UK, so it would have a big impact. The idea, though, of some sort of trade deal or economic deal being scrambled together by Wednesday still sounds extremely ambitious, shall we say, whether that can do the job or not. And also, do we know that President Trump is going to go ahead with these tariffs? We still don't know for absolutely sure.
We'll find out on Liberation Day, I guess, on Wednesday.
And hilarious, isn't it, that he doesn't want to... He doesn't want them announced on April Fool's Day.
Yeah, he wanted to wait an extra day just in case.
An extra day. Yeah.
Carolyn, Theo, stay with us on the press preview coming up amid those concerns over global trade, concerns too about the rising cost of household bills. We'll discuss that next. Stay with us.
Here we go.
2, 1.
Thank you, Sophie.
The big announcement.
The battle for number 10.
The drone is above us.
It is a chaotic scene.
They've asked us to leave.
It is a clear Labour landslide.
The car is covered in.
Liberated but left in ruins.
A major incident has been declared.
That's when misinformation floods the zone.
It became clear the media weren't welcome.
These extraordinary images.
Must have taken years.
Who wants to talk about politics?
OK, stand by.
I wouldn't be asking it if I didn't think it was a relevant question.
The winner of the 2024 presidential election.
Quite extraordinary events.
Turkey is burying its dead.
Whole families died in this collapse. Generations wiped out. I'm Siobhan Robbins, Sky's Europe correspondent based here in Berlin.
This is just a small sample of the deadly arsenal taken off the streets.
Anyone could say, I'll do that, and then have to go and shoot someone.
Yes.
Sky News, get the full story first.
The Premier League run-in is live on NBC and Peacock as City Pride is on the line with a pair of iconic derbies.
It doesn't get any better.
April 3rd, it's a London derby. Chelsea.
Beautiful goal from Chelsea.
Spurs.
What a game.
April 6th,
yourself, Manchester, for the mother of all derbies.
United. City. The Premier League run-in is live on NBC and streaming on Peacock.
Hear that whistle and that crunch? We know that they're coming from the south of the city where there's a column of Russian armoury. I'm Alex Crawford and I'm Sky's special correspondent based in Istanbul. Look at that sheet of flames, and that has happened within minutes, and now it's coming from both sides and it's moving this way.
Our app gives you the very best of Sky News wherever you are. Breaking news, videos, analysis, up at 6%. Podcasts, watching us live.
Joins us live.
All in one place, and all at just the touch of a screen. The Sky News app. Get the full story first.
Sky News get the full story first.
Is this now all your territory?
Yeah. The battlefield is outside the barricades. We are in the middle of a forest, in a jungle really, and they're attempting to keep these men alive. I'm Stuart Ramsey, and I'm Sky's chief correspondent. It's really dangerous. Many people have died riding it.
We are under Israeli military restrictions in terms of some of the things that we can film, but it's important to be in there. What a slow drive for the president as he approaches his golf club. 4 more years! Free wherever you get your news. I'm Mark Stone and I'm Sky's correspondent based here in Washington, D.C.
Welcome back. You're watching the press preview. With me now in the studio, Theo Usherwood and Carolyn Quinn. Let's go straight to the front page of the Daily Express, a headline that, you know, makes the heart sink a little bit. Families £1,100 worse off in April, bills a surge, a variety of things, which of course will lead to this. Carolyn, give us the details.
Yes, well, bills, household bills, water, council tax, energy. Families are going to feel the pressure, according to this. Households could be battered by over £1,000 a year in those extra costs because of the bill rises. And of course, remember, that comes on top of the pressures that are being felt by households, but also by the Treasury and by Rachel Reeves in particular, the criticism that she's receiving over those welfare reductions announced last week, the borrowing costs, the predictions of growth not working quite as she had planned for this year, although pretty much a bit more optimistic for coming years. And, of course, the incoming tariffs, if they happen, as we were just discussing. So there is a lot going on, and with many of these rises taking effect from tomorrow,
so that would be the day after.
Yes, yes, the first of April. Yeah, it's been dubbed Awful April, which I suppose is an awful title, but it's an awful month being predicted for many, many people.
Yeah, I mean, this comes off, of course, the spring statement from last week, and there were some fairly shaky numbers in that from Rachel Reeves, who said, well, you know, at the end of this Parliament, families could be £500 better off a year, which was, there was some question, there was some head scratching about that. You know, the Tories have done their analysis on this and adding up all the costs of rising costs of, as Carolyn was saying, council tax, energy, and so forth. And this is, of course, separate to the spring statement. Yeah. But I do wonder, you know, maybe the Tories, and this is obviously their analysis, maybe they're going to go away, and the big one to look out for is what happens from April the 6th when that in national insurance contributions for employers kicks in. That's going to be really painful. And what happens to, you know, when businesses suddenly have to bake that in terms of inflation, they'll have to put their prices up, unemployment, they're just simply not going to take people on anymore. It is a dire economic situation at the moment. And of course, we have, as you mentioned, the huge uncertainty around the tariffs that Donald Trump could introduce this week, this coming week, and then what does Rachel Reeves do? Because she's not got many options left, and it's all very likely she's actually going to have to come back with tax rises in fairly short order.
The Office for Budget Responsibility, which did halve its growth for this year, as I said, but seemed a bit more optimistic about future months. But its warning was that if the tariffs hit the UK, then that could reduce growth by 1%.
Yeah, if we retaliate,
Yeah, you know, and that means wriggle room gone, headroom gone. Rachel Reeves would have no money to play with at all. And as you say, Theo, then the speculation builds up towards October and the budget. You know, will she have to just scrap the idea that I'm not moving on my rules and move on her rules?
I don't think she can. I don't think she can. Well,
she's under pressure from Labour MPs to do so.
But for the markets, you know, if the markets suddenly react because they no longer have faith in her iron fist approach to running the public finances, I mean, then she's a goner. I mean,
it's really difficult, isn't it? Because you know, if you surprise the markets, that causes real difficulties. If there's some way of sort of laying the ground towards a change of view because of the global situation, global uncertainty. But as you say, she has so much traded her reputation on being an iron
We
chancellor.
have 45 seconds left on the programme. Shall we end on a sunnier note? Daily Star front page. Well, at least it's going to be sunny and warm.
Thank goodness. I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, winter was cold. It was a colder than expected winter. It's good. Yeah, 17 degrees it's going to reach over the course of the next week or so. Fantastic.
Yeah, baking weather, thanks to hot air from the Med, says the Daily Star. It's budgie smuggler time.
It's never that hot.
No, I can't imagine, not in the next 2 weeks anyway.
Carolyn, Theo, thank you so much. I'll see you both in the next hour. Thank you. Coming up next on Sky News at 10, the chair of the charity set up by Prince Harry to help children in Southern Africa tells Sky News his decision to leave the UK had a detrimental effect on funding.
We've got your Sunday mornings covered. From the front page and the sounds of the streets to the voices of the people who make the major calls and big picture politics beyond Westminster. We'll put you at the heart of our story.
I'm ready. Are you?
Join me, Trevor Phillips, Sunday mornings on Sky News.
We're rolling.
Welcome to the world.
Our new podcast. It's starting now. It's very exciting. Every week, we'll be reporting from the world's trouble spots.
We get to hold those in positions of power accountable, and we get to ask the questions that the audience, the listeners, want to know about.
And that's why it is so important that people tune in, come along for the road, come along for the journey. It'll be fun.